Okay. It's that Thursday feeling.
It do be is that Thursday feeling.
We're recording this at least.
Well, unless it isn't.
Unless it isn't what?
Thursday.
I think it is. What evidence do you have that it's not?
Pope's American now.
Pope's American now. Hey, welcome to the BGB's podcast. I'm one of your hosts, John Warren. With me is my favorite co-host, Nikki Grayson. Yeah, we got to talk about Chicago Pope, don't we?
So I got there's three things. All three things came into my mind. One, I saw I was on Instagram and the LA Times image was like so fucking funny. It was let me make sure it is what I say, what I'm thinking it is. Hold on. I can do it really quickly. It can do it so fast.
I believe you can do it so fast.
It's happening. I'm clicking LA Times. And then I'm clicking again. Okay. So this is an unbelievably funny post. It's a video of Robert, or also known as Pope Leo the Fifth, or whatever the fuck.
Pope Leo the 14th.
14th.
Yes.
14. Mm-hmm. So he comes out, and the caption on the video is Cardinal Robert Prevost.
Yes.
The first American pope in the 2,000-year history of the Catholic Church. Now, is that true? Yes.
You know what? It is true.
It is technically true.
But it's not quite as historically impressive as that would.
No, because that would imply that America is 2,000 years old. America has existed.
I'm so scared. I'm so scared for us that no one. I'm so scared for us because you and I caught that, but no one in that newsroom was
no one was like,
yeah,
is this
it's been 2,000 years, but it's not real.
First American pope in 2,000 years, as if there were 1,800 years where we had any say in the negotiations. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So he's American now.
The Native Americans in 800 were like, we got to get a pope in there.
Yeah, we got to get a pope. They were reading the news,
get a pope.
And they were like, God, an Italian again?
Come on. Molto bene.
Exactly. We're not sending our best and our brightest to the Vatican.
Yeah, that's so good.
So that was silly. So I have a couple of questions.
Yeah,
for you about Chicago Pope coming to NBC this fall. Do you think
Chicago Fire, Chicago PD, Chicago Med, and now starting in a 4-hour block, Chicago Pope,
and it's all the stuff they didn't show on New Pope.
Yeah. Or
Young Pope. Sorry,
God. What do you think the fucking Bears gonna be like this season?
So that's what I'm saying. So I think there are a lot of sports implications with the election.
He's a Cubs fan.
Pope Leo.
He's a Cubs fan,
which is huge. He went to Villanova. There's a confirmed retweet of him, which is a crazy thing to say about the Pope. There's a confirmed retweet from his account where he retweeted an article about the Villanova championship winning team, who are now on the Knicks together, with the exception of Dante DiVincenzo.
Poor Dante.
But
you know what? He's in the playoffs.
He's in the playoffs still. So that's huge. Do you think this means that the Knicks are preordained to win the National Basketball Association finals this calendar year? Because I actually, John, in conjunction with the events of this current week and you mean the fact that they beat Boston twice? I mean, that probably has more to do with it than the other thing. But
it's
not unhelpful.
Michael, I would say the play of Mikal Bridges, Jalen Brunson strikes me as holy.
It does. It does feel like they've been touched by God.
Yeah, it does strike me as holy.
Because what I think is happening is that God is watching the game
right
through the first 3 quarters, and then in the fourth quarter he's like, okay, it's my turn to play, and then he comes down and he touches him on the shoulders, and then they turn it on in the fourth.
Could we get a Pope movie directed by Spike Lee? Do you think that's like
fucking bang? like no, that's what I'm fucking saying. Like, I understand, fuck America, right? But listen, gang, I
know what you mean. When I read it, I honest to God, I was like, fucking say, can you see, motherfucker? Yeah, let's go.
We are
get some of that deep dish, get some Portillo's delivered to the fucking Vatican. Let's go.
I just don't think we're prepared for the power of an American Pope.
We're not.
Because the Pope courtside at MSG is a real possibility now.
They're gonna have to build like a little phone booth for him to just kind of sit there. Spike's he's fucking rapping on the side of it when there's a 3.
Don't touch the glass,
he's like, let's go, Pope. Leo, get up, Leo. Let's go. God, it'd be so funny.
The Pope could throw out the first pitch opening day at Wrigley Field next year.
I mean, the Italian man who made the new Pope and the young Pope and the new Pope, must be just like, I can't fucking believe, I can't believe I got out of this fucking business. No. I finished that story. That story is over.
Yeah,
there's no but. Boy, I bet he's like, he scribbled some notes this morning. He's like, we have another one in me.
Monsieur Zaslav greenlights the American Pope.
The American Pope.
And, like, as soon as it touches his desk, he sees the headline, the subject line in his inbox, and he greenlights it. Mm-hmm. He just says yes.
He says yes. He says yes. Mm-hmm.
I just don't listen. Again, the world's failing. This is yet another sign of the collapse of the globe, to be clear.
For sure.
However, we are only a couple of months away from Stephen A. Smith asking the Pope to come on First Take. And like, if you don't think that's fundamentally good,
now, Leo, you know I'm a man of God, but do you think the devil is in Jerry Jones? Tell me. God, it'd be so good.
Anything is possible.
Stephen A. Molly Karam, just like, Stephen A. is going to square off against Pope Leo the 14th. It could happen.
The Pope and Dan Orlovsky having a conversation is more likely today than it was yesterday, and I just think that's beautiful.
Mina Kimes breaking down offensive line play for the Chicago Bears to the Pope, and the Pope is like, "Wow, you are smart. Like, you're the smartest one they got on this channel."
So that's good. Congrats to the American Pope.
Congrats to Leo.
Except for all the bad stuff he did.
Except for
R.E. hiding all those pedophiles. So that's good.
Man, I mean, it's like, give me just 5 minutes, you know? I'm like, I was on Blue Sky. I was like, I know it's gonna come. And that shoe drops so fast.
Yeah, so fast.
It was like, I saw some slideshow on TikTok that was like all the candidates, and it gave like what they have going for them and what they don't. And what they don'ts on all of them were like people, please, very dire, okay, but also very funny. Like, it were all just stuff like, yes, this guy's hardline stance on homophobia would even rankle some conservatives, or like blah blah blah. But when it got to Leo, it was basically like, he's pretty non-committal on like a lot of the stuff you probably care about.
You would want someone to be committal about.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I learned about I need to look at the word to know how to say it.
Mm-hmm.
It is sedevacantism. Do you know what this is?
No. What?
Okay, so there's this traditionalist Catholic movement. Okay. That started in like the late 50s, early 60s. that says that after Paul VI was not a real pope.
Okay.
They said that he was Jewish the whole time, actually.
Okay.
But Jewish negative connotation. To be so clear. That's what they said.
Okay. Sure. Not great.
And it was started by a group of Mexican Catholics who are like, listen, the Catholic Church since 1958, we have not had a pope.
Right.
They still believe that because the guy that they think the last pope was, who was the guy before John VI. They were like, that was the last one. They put a guy who wasn't allowed to be pope.
Wasn't really pope.
Yeah, and then subsequently, because then no one has ever gone back and said, actually, that one was not real.
So the papacy has just been vacant.
Yes, that is their belief, is that the papacy has been 80 vacant years, for basically 80 calendar years.
Whoa, for 70 years. 70 years.
Yeah. But that's what they think.
Wow.
Crazy, right?
That is crazy.
Everybody's got their little revisionist history. Even
they got to do a ladder match. That's what when they vacate a title, they do a ladder match. They hang them both up, and you got to have a ladder match. You just have to Leo versus whatever candidate that they want. That would be so funny. It's like Leo, we're so happy. We are actually going ahead and saying we're nipping this in the bud finally after 75 years. We got to just do a ladder match, bud. Sorry.
We should have John Warren done a stream in WWE 2K25
where we had the papacy Royal Rumble
elimination chamber because they're already in the fucking plastic.
Yeah, they're already in the conclave
chamber. Yeah, we should have done that. We fucked up. Can we go back? Can we still do it?
He's setting it up for white smoke. Is he gonna hit the white smoke? He hits it! Oh my God!
White Smoke is a great finisher name.
White Smoke's a great finisher name. Can you imagine the entrances for all these popes? Dude. Wow. Yeah, we fucked up. We should have done that. We did that for remember when we did that for Smash Brothers for the 2018, like the 2019 primaries?
Yes. I do.
That was crazy.
That was 30 years ago. John.
That was a long time ago. It feels so much longer ago than it really was.
But
it feels really long.
Different people back then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We could hear that. How'd that feel?
God.
Oop. I just did one. Maybe you could hear that.
Wait. Oh, no. Ow.
Nope.
The other day, I cracked my neck with my mouth open, and it resonated out of my mouth. Like it echoed out of my mouth. It was fucking insane. Fun.
Yeah, I like that. I was driving somewhere this morning. I breathed really hard.
Yeah.
Something clicked in my belly, and I had a really sharp pain that jutted from my belly up to my neck.
That's awesome.
And
that's really good.
It like in the nanosecond I felt it. It was gone.
Yeah.
But I was sitting there driving like, what?
Yeah, no,
just happened.
I'm
like, probably not worth going to a doctor over because it was just like, but I'm like,
it has to happen
twice. What was that though? I think it has to happen twice. Yeah.
And then they're going to go and they're going to look at you and they're going to be like, yeah, weird.
Yeah, weird. Guys, are you stressed? Yes.
Okay. Could be that.
What
if we started answering no?
Yeah, I mean,
like actually, I have zero stressors.
No, actually, I'm super chill.
Yeah, nothing bad is happening. Like to me or around.
I'm a trust fund baby.
Mm-hmm.
I have like 5 girlfriends.
Yeah, 100 feet tall, as you can see.
100. Mm-hmm. I'm really strong.
Yeah,
I'm not stressed at all.
As you can see.
I've got nothing.
I didn't struggle even a little bit to push back on your hand when you asked me to. So you understand that. I understand that.
I've been doing that in physical therapy because I've been doing that for like 6 weeks. And they did basically a reevaluation last week. And they did all like the hair push against this, like testing all the strength. And Doggo's like making notes. And he's like, yeah, like you're mostly better than you were before.
Mostly
I was like,
better than
what?
you were
What?
before.
He's like, you're not worse anywhere, but you should be better in every place. And I'm like, all right. So I guess we need to go harder. And he's like, yeah. Harder. I'm like, okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Oh.
Yeah, so new Pope, that's cool. American Pope, huge. That's great. By the way, folks, you might have tuned in and thought, I thought Alyssa Mercante was going to be on the show. She was. She had to reschedule, and we will schedule her back again soon, probably sometime in June. But yeah, that is why it's just Nikki and I writing solo today. Sorry, everyone. Sorry, all the weirdos we didn't get this week.
Yeah,
because
we'll get them next.
Wasn't on. We'll get them next time. We'll get them next time. But yeah, we have every single week we answer Hive questions. BGBs.com/join. You can join the Hive, ask us Hive questions. A lot of them are fun, lighthearted, cool, great. We actually have like 3 serious and very thoughtful questions.
So we're gonna do it in the beginning of the probe.
We're gonna do that at the beginning because I think it's there's a lot here, and then we'll circle back, or maybe we'll do one, and then do some other stuff, and come back.
Okay,
we'll do that. But I think kind of piggybacking off of a larger conversation American Pope, and yeah, all the threads are here. Put them up on the board. American Pope, Jeff Gerstmann, Giant Bomb, Polygon, all these things are connected, right? Maxwell asks, this is long, Nikki.
Okay, I'm shopping
so pay attention. Fanbyte, Giant Bomb, Waypoint, and Polygon were all supposed to be small team corrections to the early 2000s corporate influence big tent media method. I'll come back to that. And all eventually had the same outcome. Given the nature of the industry now, with streaming and working outside of a studio, this means you all are running the show without much help. Do you think this is sustainable for growing independent audience as large outlets shutter? What do you think needs to be done differently for this generation to succeed? He also asks a second separate question, but I want to ask this one first.
No, for sure.
This one first. I will correct you, Maxwell. I don't know that Polygon and Waypoint were supposed to be small team corrections of early 2000s corporate influence.
I think they were.
Polygon actually is almost very explicitly
the opposite of that.
The opposite.
Yeah.
Because Waypoint was constructed by people who are not of that vein, but they were certainly already in this. They were in the machine.
Yeah,
already.
They were in the machine, and it was Vice. Vice wanted to. Yeah, I think just to
actually see the only one there that I think I would agree with is Giant Bomb. None of those. They were already in the machine when they started.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for Polygon specifically, I think I don't really understand how. Well, I kind of get it, but I think something that is really interesting to me is that Polygon just did the Verge playbook again, but I don't think people paid attention maybe to the Verge because I guess it was gadget blogs, and maybe people just cared less that it was somehow more niche, than GamesPub was. Even though Engadget at the time was really fucking big. I'm sure Engadget was bigger than Joystick at the time, but the whole thing with Vox Media was they had SB Nation and that network of team sites, which remember that. It's fucking crazy. But then they started to do that.
Hey folks, media used to be a lot different.
Yeah, it used to be so different.
Even a decade ago. It's crazy.
Sports Blog Nation. So there was that, and then SB Nation, the company that owned the blogs, started to do more national coverage of sports. That started to work. So then they were okay, we probably should expand into a different bubble. And they said, okay, well, we will do technology. Coincidentally, and AOL was fucking over Engadget at the time and their whole deal, because I think they were about to get bought by Verizon. If I'm remembering correctly. And that Engadget team said, absolutely the fuck not. We're leaving. They left. They started The Verge, right? Which was just built off of the bones of SB Nation. Polygon, the exact same thing. Like, exactly the same thing. The team at Joystick was like, oh, word, the Engadget guys left? We also probably should leave to where the Engadget guys went.
Go where they went.
So then they started,
where the money is.
So then they started Vox Games, which was just a sub-brand of The Verge for a really long time before it turned into Polygon.com. So like that through line, yes, the teams I think had small team energy because it was deeply personality based. Like those are all personality hires, personality website. Like, yeah,
I mean, you're talking about the McElroys in the case of Polygon.
Yes. Like it was not, these were not like nobodies. And then obviously in the case of The Verge, it was like Nilay, Paul Miller, and Josh Topolsky, like were big names in the tech media space. Like if you had three guys to build a thing with, like those are your 1 through 3 draft picks, right?
Right.
So then, like, it's not, again, they didn't come out of nowhere. The Giant Bomb thing is different because Gerstmann got fired from GameSpot and then
fired from a job
and then did his own over ethics and then was like, I simply will do my own thing. And then pulled people from GameSpot, yes, but then like did his own thing before selling it back to the machine.
Yes.
And then Fanbyte was owned by a small indie business, Tencent. So like you can't like so
like I would love to sit here and be like, yeah, we were again, like these things felt swashbuckling because of the people who were in them.
Yeah.
With the exception of Giant Bomb, they were not that swashbuckling.
Yeah.
It would
be like
we were pirates we were corporate sponsored pirates.
Yeah.
Like
and
I does that bum me out sometimes to think about? Yes, but it's like we were already in the machine. Yeah.
It would be like giving the Green Bay Packers different credit because they aren't technically owned by anyone, they're not owned by anybody for being different, as if they aren't one of the 32 NFL teams. You know, like it is still,
they're still there.
They're still the Packers, a team in the NFL. They just so happen to be owned slightly different. Instead of one guy owning the team, it is however many thousands of people own the team, but they still do NFL stuff. So it's like,
I think the similar through line to all four of these, and like Paul, I will say this: I do not know what happened to Polygon. Like I don't.
Oh, I can't.
I mean, I can speculate, and I feel like it's just a realignment of some stuff. Those margins maybe weren't so high, so they wanted to basically say, okay, we know we can't probably get these margins back to where we want to be, so let's cut bait, sell it to a place, whatever. Probably some combination of those things. I just don't know.
Yeah,
but all of these things shuttered because they had a decent line on sustainability of those small teams, but they did not have any sort of growth trajectory that those in-house ownership hierarchies want.
Which so clear, like growth insofar as like an inappropriate, unrealistic level of growth. Like year over year growth that is impossible, unsustainable, would require an Elden Ring or a Grand Theft Auto every single year kind of numbers.
It would be, and I'm going to totally make up some numbers here because I actually do know some numbers, but it's like it would be like if 500 subs could sustain us, but our ownership was like, well, that's cool, but what we need is, and this is literally the scale of the math, like 50,000.
Yeah.
And it's like, we can't do that.
Yeah.
Without doing things that I think would be antithetical to the way we actually do the work that we do. So there is where that tension happens. And so that's what happens. To actually dive into some of your points here as well, Maxwell. Given the nature of industry now with streaming and working outside of a studio, that's something I definitely want to talk about. This means you're all running the show without much help. Yeah, I mean, without much help, meaning without any sort of like institutional money to basically help us build the stuff out. Yeah, you're right. Like we're not working with that. Like Aftermath is still bootstrapping. They're not working full time over there. That's something that I think, like, if you are in the know, and they do talk about it, but it's like they don't do that full time. Most of them have something on the side, or Aftermath is the thing.
Is the thing on the side, yeah.
Like the only things that really seem, I think, legit sustainable, are the Gerspins, which is one person, or Kind of Funny, which has had a big head start, and all that stuff. So like those things are I think legitimately sustainable without any sort of institutional money. I do think it is really hard to build one of these without kind of being in the same space. Like there is something magical, legitimately, after watching kind of Giant Bomb clips for the past week of that kind of original concept and having that stuff happen in a place, and having that stuff feel organic and interesting. And like, it's not easy. And the thing is that if we wanted to do something like that, and by we, I mean Remap, Aftermath, us, like whoever, any of these people, if we wanted a consistent studio space, that's going to be the craziest fucking cost. I mean, aside from salaries, like that's close to a salary, depending on where you live. So that's hard. Do I think this is sustainable? It can be, but I do think we have to identify. This is where the bad game design shit comes in sometimes with my brain. But I know there are whales out there that will actually give money to basically all of these things. I won't name names, but we at least have one in our community who like has been giving big yearly subs to like basically every single outlet like this. There need to be more of those, frankly. Like there need to be more of those people. I would almost say patrons of these kinds of things. And then it just, I don't know. I think the first money that we spend on stuff is never going to be on marketing, but it's like, it probably needs to be. Like we need to be spending money on marketing to actually get out there and grow.
It's so, and that's the difficult part, right? Because it's
that's the hard part, because we can't get in front of that.
For sure. You still then have to convince someone in a time where everything is bad and free, but there is a lot of it.
There's a lot of it.
That paying for a good thing is worth your time.
Right.
When instead that you have been conditioned and taught to subsist on bad stuff that is free.
Yeah.
Which is a hard thing to do. And again, like you mention it in your question, Maxwell. Did you read the second question already?
Not yet. We can do it, but because it feeds into it a little bit, so I can read it.
The second question is: given that a subscriber used to pay a $20 premium to a team of their favorite video game journalists, now the same consumer will pay 5 or so different independent subscriptions to people that occasionally collaborate. In your case, I found VGBs through Gerspin, so you guys have benefited from this market. But do you think that there is enough consumer capital to go around so as to not stifle these fun and engaging collaborations? Yeah, for sure. It just is like the identification then, right? If you're trying to like put all of this stuff on the table, you're like, okay, well, if people are going to do the things that they are saying that they are going to do, which is not pay $80 for a video game anymore. Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so like if you just
so cool, now you have some money on the table.
For sure. It seems like you do have some money about it now. Yep. Because that's $20 extra that you have. That you could have spent but are not going to spend. So you're either moving through Steam sales or you're moving through the Xbox or PlayStation or the Switch store sales or whatever. And or you are playing fewer video games every year. Right. But the amount of money that you have mentally allocated in your brain to this thing that you say you love doesn't need to change. Like if you actually still love the thing, that you do actually still have the money to kick to the people who are making the stuff that you are consuming. And if that turns into then, well, I'm not going to pay money for Mario Kart, but I do want to see other people play Mario Kart or want to see what they think about Mario Kart. Then yeah, dog, like it seems like you have 80 American dollars that you didn't spend on Mario Kart to hand out at least for a month. Or at least you spend, instead of spending $80 on Mario Kart, you spend $40 2 times to do a Year of Us and a year. I don't know how much a yearly subscription is, but like a Year of Us and a year. I've never looked. Is it $50? Is it $60? $69.99?
No, it's $90.
$90.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you want Mario Kart or do you want to support this? Right
now, we could change the yearly pricing to the new video game.
Should it just be? We could do that. It goes up depending on whether or not Grand Theft Auto comes out, and it's $100.
Oh my god!
It's kind of dynamically priced.
Yeah, it's tariff pricing, guys, for this digital. For this digital product?
Can we set the WordPress purchase thingy, the memberful thing, to link directly to the game on target.com? And then if that price changes, the price for the website changes. So like on Black Friday, if Mario Kart goes down to $70,
hey,
listen,
guess what? We got a sale.
$70. We're on a sale.
We got a sale on. Yeah.
Or it's like buy two Switch games, you get one free if you buy. Maybe that's the move. I wonder, John.
Maybe that's the move.
I do actually wonder, though, if there is space for
bundling.
I've created a bundle, John. I've had the idea for a bundle.
Yeah, a bundle.
That is like you kind of, and I'm sure it would be fucking basically impossible to do because not everybody is on the same, like there's no way to single account sign on this stuff, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But there might be. It might be worth doing the work. But I do wonder if you are like, okay, yeah, for sure. Like, we're going to do we VGBs are going to bundle with Aftermath and Game Mess. And if you do $15 a month, you get access to all three. And like we figure out the math. It's either like we split it like 33 or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm saying this out loud, and I actually think, John, probably we should try to figure out something about that might be helpful.
I mean, I like it.
At least explore.
My fear is that, just like you said, I've built a thing that was off the coil of Patreon.
Yeah.
Very much for a very specific reason. But it's going to make it harder to do something like this. But I'm sure we can figure it out. I think that's
John. It's not Patreon.
It's. I still stand by that. This is better than doing.
No,
Patreon.
For sure. On the back end, though, are we not using Memberful?
It's MemberPress. It's different.
Oh, not Memberful.
It's not Memberful. No,
Memberful Patreon. MemberPress, not Patreon.
Oh yeah, MemberPress is not Patreon.
I thought we were on
its own thing.
Did you know, John?
No.
Hey, I don't
remember. You don't go to the website. It's fine. It's all right.
I just talk in the microphone.
You're too pretty to go to the website. It's okay.
That's exactly right, John.
Yeah, it's exactly right.
No, I don't need to go on there because the fucking I got access.
I know. I'm aware. I'm not. Who's
John,
yelling at you? I'm not yelling at you.
Barley's yelling.
No, I'm not yelling at you. No one go. It's fine.
Nobody's yelling at me.
No one's yelling at you.
This is a good question, though, Maxwell. I appreciate it because I do. Would you
believe that I don't know off the top of my head how much our sub is now that you say that? I see it. It's okay. It's $10 a month.
Yeah.
Oh, it is $100 a year. We could probably bring that down. We could probably bring that.
Last week you said you thought that the yearly annual membership was too cheap.
Did I?
Yeah, you did say that last week.
Oh, no. I don't think I meant that it was too cheap. I think I meant that it was like when I get one of the yearlies, I go, wow, a yearly, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And then in my head I go, can't wait to get that next month.
Yeah.
It was just not how that works.
That's not how it goes.
So I get really excited. I'm like, ooh, and then I go,
yeah.
No,
that's fair. So I gave it to you already.
That's
yeah. I think I don't know. I'm bummed as hell that I'm not at PAX this week. Honestly, like really bummed. But like, I think the thing that SGF will be unbelievably helpful for is that most of these affected folks, are still going to end up coming out. And I think it will be good if Jeff Keighley does one thing other than be sad that he lost almost $1 million. He will have contributed to a space where people could talk about this kind of stuff. And I hope to God that it ends up being as productive from a where do we as people in this space go perspective as it is from a coverage, like an explicit coverage perspective. Because I don't know how many more of these we will get where we are in a position of a reset, you know? So
I do believe that it is possible for most of these outlets, including ours, to get enough of an audience to sustain us. I do. Just full like honest to God disclosure. I do feel like the odd person out of a lot of these conversations. We've had a lot of growth and had a lot of we have a lot of really, really nice engagement, but it's I know there are a lot of people who are probably percolating on big ideas and big groups and all that stuff. And I'll just say a big group scares the shit out of me.
No, for sure. Cause then it becomes
it's really
someone has to drive it in a way that is, yeah. No, for sure.
Aftermath was about as big as I could have imagined something starting to be.
Yeah.
And even I think they would admit this. I don't know if they'd admit it publicly, but I think even they were we probably set our expectations not our expectations. We set our bars too high.
Yeah.
To sustain ourselves and get the, I think that's been a tough road for them.
No, for sure.
I think it's a road that they would say was worth it, but because they've had a lot of growth.
Yeah.
But I could see it was stressful, and it might still be stressful.
And I also think that something that is harmful.
Yeah.
Is the presence of defector in this conversation.
Isn't that crazy?
Which is so crazy, right?
I do feel like we identified that pretty early.
No, for sure.
That defector was a weird, ooh, boy, guys, don't try to just expect us to be able to do this.
It's an unbelievably bad barometer, but it is a barometer that people still think is possible.
Yeah.
And it's no, that was deeply a perfect story.
They had y'all don't understand. It was some of the honest to God, some of the normiest shit happening.
Yes.
Normies were aware of that.
Yeah.
And it blew up.
Yeah.
A lot of nobody knows that Polygon got sold last week.
I talked to multiple people this week.
Nobody knows that.
Yeah. I talked to multiple people this week who were what did they say to me? I'm trying to remember what happened. Oh, I told this person that I went to Beyonce with, I was talking about the newsletter, and I was talking about how makeyouthink.club. And I was talking about how I was trying to put more pictures in it, just kind of as a long-term thing. And they were I didn't know you had a newsletter. And I was well, I explained what the newsletter was. And then while we were sitting and waiting for Beyonce to come out, because she came out again, I need to be so clear, 90 minutes after the show started, which is, again,
you can wait 90 minutes for the queen.
Baller. She goes, or no, Beyonce came out at 8:30, and then my friend goes, they go, wait, Polygon got sold? And I would actually describe this person as a person who is pretty plugged in and knows what a video game is and knows how to speak about them, like blah 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 blah. And they're like, oh, I had no idea.
No idea.
So
I'm saying Defector was really born out of an awareness that we frankly don't have. Like, on this side of things, it doesn't exist. Like, I would even say IGN for the most part is outside the coil of norminess in a lot of ways.
No, for sure. Because I mean, like, if IGN took, I'm sure you can pay IGN money every month, right?
I think so. Yeah.
But like, how many people are paying IGN money every month?
That's a great question.
Right. So it's like that, like, there's just not, I think there is in a lot of circumstances, there is a for what about it. Like, what, why would I be paying you money?
Yeah. Why would I pay for
about it if it has been free? And I think
if it has been free, yes.
Yes. Now what I think is going to happen is I think people are going to start getting less. Like, actually, I think actively we are going to start seeing less stuff out there. So people are going to have to either figure out, if they still want it, figure out where to go to get it.
Right.
Which is, however, harder than just find something else that is free and shittier to replace it with.
Yeah.
But that's the eternal media fight.
Yeah.
Ain't it?
I mean, and to talk a little bit about scale, like, if the only thing we ever do is sell subs, then we need I don't really want to do math live on the show, but we need a certain 1,000 subs to essentially totally sustain ourselves, have a freelance budget, and also do some marketing, like, and have some leftover to, like, pay for going to conferences and stuff like that if they're not subsidized. Like, making stuff for 2,000 to 5,000 people doesn't really seem all that difficult to me. But if we wanted to bring on another person or whatever, an easy thing that someone might point us out at to do is go like, well, maybe now you can start putting ads on the site, or maybe now you can start selling sponsorships to the podcast. But the fact is that, like, the scale at which those things would need to be at to make putting ads on that worth it will never work for us. We're never going to be, like, attempting to get 1 million people on our website at one time.
No,
like,
it's called CPM
if that ever
for
happens,
a
it'll be a fucking accident.
Yeah.
It'll be something that pops off in a way that no one expected, and we will not benefit from it in any meaningful way unless, like, 50 of those million people decided to give us some money.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's hard. It's really hard. And, like, I'm sure everyone has noticed that in the past week and a half, I'm, like, hustling my ass off with socials. Like, that's like, it's one of the easiest things I wasn't doing that I could be doing. And, I hate to say it, but, like, that shit works when you just fucking remind someone constantly that you exist.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it is not easy. I agree with Nikki that I do think it's possible. And I do think it is probably on some of us to start working together to have things like bundles and partnerships and things like that. Because the other thing that, like, I've had to really shed, and, like, I don't know, like, I don't know if it even makes sense to talk about stuff like this, but I used to be I still am a deeply competitive person, a deeply, deeply competitive person. And when I was at Fanbyte, that felt really good.
Yeah.
And I could have this, like, cool feedback loop. I feel like I was captaining a ship, and all the other ships were my enemies and all that stuff. And that's what I felt like most of the time. And one, I was wrong to feel that way. But two, I really don't feel that way now. Like, I really, really don't feel that way now. I feel like we're all kind of in the ocean together. And whenever we can throw life preservers, like, I do try to put my money where my mouth is. That $80 that Nikki was talking about, that, like, oh, now you're not going to, like, I have subbed to basically everything that has come across my desk, and I've stayed sub to it, whether it's Patreons, whether it's independent stuff, and it's like, and it is expensive. So I get it in a lot of ways, but I also think like, okay, like there are things I was spending money on in my life that I don't fucking need, and I think this is more important. So, Maxwell, it's a good question.
Yeah.
It is crazy that we've gone from like, I'll easily pay $20 to see people hang out to, well, why the fuck would I give you $5?
Yeah, why would I give you $5?
Yeah.
But but it's the same as why would I pay for the newspaper when the TV is free?
I know.
So it is
in England, they have a TV license that you have to pay, that you quote have to pay, quote unquote have to pay.
Have to pay. They'll get you.
Have to pay. Yeah. I like stealing those.
It's tough. I do think that there is a lot of one thing that I do think that this space has to go over people wise. I think that there are a lot of like interpersonal beefs or unspoken beefs or perceived unspoken beefs that like in the service of growth and camaraderie for the space are probably going to either kill it or get squashed in order for us to be able to make steps as a collective. But again, I think the way that you do that right is by being in the same place together at the same time. But that's increasingly difficult when you're working at an independent website that has no money. So who's going to pay the $400 to fly you out to Los Angeles and then the $700 to sleep you in Los Angeles for 4 nights, right? So it's like there's it's a multifaceted issue. But again, that's why I'm excited for SGF, because I think freed from some of the obligational or obligatory shackles that I think a lot of these folks have, I think we might actually get something done.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it's exciting. It's definitely an exciting time in a way, even though it's a very sad and weird time as well. But I do think like, there will be good stuff that comes out of it, I hope. And yeah, we'll just see. But we are happy you're here, Maxwell.
Yeah,
thanks you for asking this question.
Yeah, no, it has been.
I'm glad you found us.
Cool as hell.
The Gerstmann show. It's been great.
Yeah, it's been cool as hell to be in the garden, and then just like every day, there's a wave of people coming through.
Wave of people. Yeah,
that's
it's nice.
Super, super sick.
It's sick. Yeah, we really appreciate it. Nikki, I watched you play about 2 hours of Fortnite last night. I wanted to talk to you about it.
Yeah, please ask me anything. AMA,
which is really fun. So, I'm trying to think of all the things that I saw that I was like, okay, I didn't know that was in the game. Yeah. Cool. Because it's been a minute since I've actually like played.
Yeah, we should play Fortnite, John.
We should play Fortnite. I downloaded it, re-downloaded it last night. Like while you were playing it.
I saw you come online about it.
Yeah. I was like, I gotta at least download the update here. I watched you grind rails, which I did not even know was a thing.
It's been in the game for like 2 years.
I believe that. Yeah. That was one of those things where I was like, I bet you could do that for a while, but
a while.
I don't think I've seen that. So that's fun. I think the moment that stood out for me the most, aside from your vehicular manslaughter of Aang, the Last Airbender.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Which, if you haven't seen a clip, there's a good one. I'll link it in the show notes, but there's a good clip that Nikki posted on Blue Sky. It's just so great. You were like in a car. There was someone else in the car. Both of you in the cars decided to both try to kill Aang, who was standing outside of a car with your cars. You hit him twice and he survived. And then there was this moment where you just go, I'm going to kill Aang. So flatly. And then at the instant you did that, you in the other car, like a fucking the end of Tenet, where you're doing this temporal pincer move, like synchronized skate just sideswipe Aang in between the cars, completely sandwich him and kill him instantly.
Yeah, it's silly. It's great.
Which was great.
Good video game.
As you were driving away and you were driving somewhere else, there was just like a fucking X-Wing in the distance fighting with other stuff. And I was like, this game fucking rules.
It rules.
Like it rules.
Does.
It's really good. Yeah, there's Star Wars stuff in it again.
Yes, again. So they it seems like once a year or once every 18 months they'll do a Star Wars season, which is like reliable.
Yeah, that's smart.
They'll do a Marvel season and then they'll do a Star Wars season.
Yeah.
The last Star Wars season that I really, really liked was it was during the pandemic. I actually think it was just 2020, like later in the year. It was Mandalorian themed. So there was like a huge desert in the middle of the map. And like the Mandalorian was just hanging out in the middle of the map. And if you went through there, you could get sniped and killed by the Mandalorian because he was just hunting. He was just hanging out. He was just hunting. And then that was a little boss fight. Now there's now Darth Vader he has got a little temple on one chunk of the map. I think there's another spot where Palpatine is. And then there's another spot where I think you can go hang out with Luke. But I haven't found the Palpatine and the Luke zones yet. But like there's a resistance base and then there's two Sith bases. And yeah, there's just they've changed the weapon pool. This is the first time where I think they're like, we're taking all of our guns out.
Yeah,
all our guns are out.
No real guns.
Yeah, it's all guns. Star Wars guns. Usually there's some like hybrid where it's like you can still pick up an assault rifle about it for sure, but like then you'll pick up the blaster from Star Wars, right?
If you're watching the video version of this, my dog Raisinette has tangled herself into some wire, so I'm trying to free her.
Just go.
No. I'm just listening to you. I see, but it looks like I'm like scratching my butt or something.
I see. I understand.
Letting you know.
I'm listening to you. So all of the weapons are Star Wars. If I had to levy some sort of immediate criticism, and it's like, like most of my criticism with the video game Fortnite, it is UI UX. I think that game has become so unbelievably unwieldy. It's
really unwieldy.
Like I think it is so unwieldy. It looks incredible. The video game itself, when you are playing,
looks amazing.
Really good. Everything around the video game is like simultaneously tacky and old and hard to, it's like illegible in some circumstances. The specific bit of criticism that I would levy, if anybody at Epic is listening, the guns all look the fucking same in the hotbar. You cannot, it is impossible, except with the exception of the sniper rifle, you cannot tell what the guns do. And one of the things that I actually thought was a hallmark of Fortnite in comparison to something like PUBG is that when you looked down, you knew what the gun was. So if you looked down and you needed to press right trigger, then it was or right bumper or left bumper to get between them. It was like, yeah, I know that this is the shotgun and I know that this is the SMG. I have no idea what these guns are. And and it's not because I'm not trying to look at them or pay attention. It's just that the silhouettes are so similar. And the names are they're Star Wars names, which is like
so
great
they're meaningless.
they don't mean anything.
Yeah.
So that part is tough. But yeah, it's also the map I think is in a really interesting spot because there's the Star Wars stuff, yes, but there are remnants of 2 previous seasons that I actually think kind of overlap in really fun ways. The last season was heist themed, which I didn't really rock with. I didn't think it was very good, but the POIs were really good. There's a POI on the map called Crime City.
Crime City.
And when you go into Crime City, regardless of what time it is, other parts of the map, always nighttime in Crime City.
It's nighttime, baby.
So it's like you'll go into Crime City, and then you'll watch the sun like fly across the map, go down, and then it's pitch black, it's nighttime, and then as soon as you leave Crime City, the sun comes back up really fast.
Yeah, which is a really funny effect. Like they could have done that in a different way, but they were just like, nope, we're gonna have the sun set if you just enter this bubble. You know,
there was not last season, but the season prior, there was this like very gumshoes reporter kind of guy. It was very much like Spider-Man Noir coded.
Yeah.
When you walked into the building that he was in, the music changed and it shifted the entire game to black and white, and like the frame rate went down. When you were in, like intentionally, the frame rate went down while you were inside of that bubble, and then when you would leave, it would go back to normal. And he was animated differently than all of the other NPCs in the game. Like it was like they are really, really, because the people who make the game make Unreal. Like
they make Unreal, and they've been making Fortnite for
30
years and years and years, and so. When I say that they can just take the bones of this thing, I mean, like whatever Matrix analogy you want to use, like they do so much crazy shit with this game. It's amazing.
It's really cool. And then because it is still Unreal, and I watched that game break in little ways more yesterday than I have seen it break in a long time.
Yeah.
In a way that was like delightful to me. Yeah. The number of times I was looking at an X-Wing in the air and then it would just go boop. Disappear, and it was like I was looking directly at that. Where did it go? Unclear. Who fucking knows? I don't know. The flying the TIE fighter and the X-Wing feels like shit. Truly terrible. Just awful. But it's delightful when you get in it. It plays the John Williams music the whole time.
Yep,
it's good as hell. There yesterday, so the vehicles got sick, like the airplanes got sick when I was flying them. Yesterday I drove the car, which I have currently skinned as like a BMW 1 Series, which is a car they don't sell in America, which is I think really goofy.
Really funny.
But I have a BMW hatchback that I just drove into a pipe. And then I flipped it. And then there was a gate. So I got out of the car, I destroyed the grate, and then I flipped the car back over, and my plan was to drive it into the tube all the way, except it was a T-joint. So I drove in like 15 feet, and then actually the car was too big for the tube, and the game didn't really like that. So it spun me around the tube a couple of times and then kicked me out of the car and then despawned the car. Like in the span of like 2.5 seconds, it did all of that. And I was like, okay.
Now, what I didn't know about that is that I didn't know they kicked you out of the car.
Oh, no.
I thought you were getting out of the car to flip it, but they kicked you out.
It kicked me out of the car and then took the car away from me.
Unbelievable.
So like, I think there's a lot of like,
it's really good.
There are a lot of video game things in it. The sentences that you can create in this game, like, are they on the line of being like all of the things that are wrong with video games? Yeah, but like I really do think core to this medium is that they let you turn your brain off for a second sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think we have gotten really far away from.
There's something I would. As a critic, I would like to take a moment and try to figure out why it's different, because I do think it is different. But like if you go, we got all the we got all the Funko Pops in one area. I'm like, I hate that shit. If you talk to me about Ready Player One, I hate that shit. Yeah. Like if you talk to me about Avengers Endgame, I hate that shit. Like there's something about like a lot of these things I don't enjoy. But for whatever reason, Sabrina Carpenter mowing down LeBron James with a rifle.
But it's because
while there's like planes crazy, in the background,
right?
It's like that's insane.
I think that's the thing, because the buy-in, it has gone through periods of time where it has felt cornier and more exploitative than it does right now.
Yeah,
but the Battle Royale has been around for almost a decade. It's like 7 years now, right?
It's like 7 years. Yeah.
That's most of the way to 10.
Yeah, it is. That's true.
Which is crazy. But it's like the first Marvel collab was like, oh shit. That's crazy.
Yes.
They got Disney said you can have
Disney
Thanos.
Said, yep. Thanos, you could get the fucking
Thanos.
Infinity
You can
Stones?
have. That's crazy. And then they kept doing more, and then it was kind of like, all right, like relax. But now all that stuff is still in here.
It's still in it.
It's still in there.
Yeah.
So now you do get situations where you can say, while dressed as LeBron James, my teammate Sabrina Carpenter and I ran over Finn Adventure Time and Aang Avatar The Last Airbender. And when the Funko Pop video game exists, you know how that deal goes. That deal is not like, I think it would be cool if. It is, how do we leverage the fact that Universal is going to let us put Back to the Future and The Walking Dead and Shaun of the Dead, like all this shit in the fucking game with no consideration to how silly it could be.
Yeah.
There's no buy-in. The buy-in is, you get to use the license. I'll make a video game that makes us look good about it. At some point, Epic, the magic that Epic did, with Fortnite was to convince these studios that actually it doesn't matter what we do with them. And you'll be fine. You'll make so much money off of the back of letting us just fuck with these guys.
Yeah. This is going to be a really fun light item for you to show your manager that you just made a ton of money off of just saying like, you can now mow people down with Ariana Grande. It's because that's fine.
The idea that Disney and Warner Brothers separately have both come to the same company and said, you can have our comic book guys. And we actually do not care if you give Superman a gun, and we don't care if he is going to mow down or be mowed down by Iron Man. We don't care. That actually, I think, rules from from a consideration of like what it means to be a steward of a brand. Yeah. I think that actually is kind of cool.
I think I'll make this comparison is that like there is something, if you watch it now, and I think it holds up in ways that you might not expect, but the 1989 classic Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yes.
For
sure.
Is cool. It's got a great script, a great director, a team of incredible animators behind it, and they got all that kind of working in order to convince competing studios, let us put Bugs Bunny and Mickey Mouse in the fucking same thing.
Yeah.
And it works and it feels good. And I do feel like Epic has created Fortnite with this thing of like, this thing is so good and so transcendent that we can take these swings and it doesn't matter what we do with them, because it's the backbone of what you're getting out of it is really genuinely solid. I think that does get lost in some of the Fortnite discourse if you're not like playing or paying attention to it.
Sure.
Is that like this game is good.
Video,
it is one of the best video games on the market.
Yes.
It is like, if you are just into any of this stuff, it is one of the coolest games you can play.
And the things that because again, they have more money than God. The way that video game intelligently is pushing you to do new shit all the time with like an unbelievably deft hand is so incredible. Like there isn't, you can play that game and have fun and be 9 years old, or be 29 years old and have the same amount of fun. There are not very many games that are like that. Because the game and the team that make this game, I love the video game Fortnite. Because the people who make this video game are so smart, they are able to tune it to be fun for so many people, even if it didn't core to it being as popular as it is the fact that you can be Batman. But if you couldn't be Batman, if they took all that shit out, the video game is still good. If tomorrow they were like, we're not selling, it's all OCs now. Unfortunately, that's just how it is. The video game Fortnite is still going to be fun to play.
Yeah. And it is a genuine uniter of generations that play games. I mean, you mentioned 9 and 29, but if you go to like, a fucking cheat code this Thanksgiving, for everyone that goes to a gathering with children that you don't have anything to talk to about.
Yeah.
Maybe you're bad at talking to children. I sometimes am bad at talking to children. But this past Thanksgiving, real easy to talk about Fortnite.
Yeah.
Really easy to talk about it. Because it's just like they play it, they love it. And a lot of the things that they get delight out of, you can also you can remember what it was like to be that age.
Yes.
And go, yeah, that shit would hit when I was 9.
Yeah.
You appreciate it now in different ways.
Yeah.
But it is truly, genuinely. And I remember when we were working in an office at Fanbyte.
Yeah.
Like we would have these moments where we would all kind of look at each other and go like, they're operating on a really different wavelength.
It's different. It's just different.
Everyone.
Yeah. And it's also, it's like, yeah, I don't know. There's a boss fight with Darth Vader.
Yeah. Yep.
Huh? Like
Right.
I dropped down listening to Jennifer Lopez as LeBron James.
Yeah. My love don't cost a thing.
And then I landed, and then I got in a car and I drove halfway across the map to go fight Darth Vader.
Yep.
And then I beat Darth Vader, and Darth Vader was like,
"Oh, good shit, brother."
and then he said,
"Do you want a lightsaber?"
And I said, yeah, for sure. He rips open a portal in the space-time continuum, and I walk in as Doom Guy, and then he walks in after me, and then we both walk out and have a lightsaber. And then I can double jump. Huh? Like, I'm sorry. Like, there's just not. That's what the medium is. That's just what it is. That's why we're here.
Yeah. That's why we're here. Yeah.
Like, yes, we are here. We are here to play Despelote and step into the shoes of lived experience.
Sure.
So from an empathetic perspective, like an explicitly empathetic perspective and an empathetic story, to see what it is like to live a different life so that we can find the places where we hold hands and find the overlap, right? In the beauty of humanity. For sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. Also,
I spent 4 shoot minutes sitting at the top of a mountain.
I was going to ask you about this. I was like, I didn't know you could do this.
Sitting on the top of a mountain, trying to figure out whether or not I could get the vocals from Soulja Boy's Crank That to fit with the Cantina theme.
Yeah, but in an interface in the fucking Fuser
it's just
interface.
Fuser. Yeah, they just put that shit in. And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know what we're doing. And there's still a Minecraft mode. Nobody plays it, but there's a Minecraft mode in there. You can just play the thing that I really don't get, I've said this before on this program. There just is a Rock Band 5.
Yeah.
They made Rock Band 5. It just is in Fortnite. The idea that they have, that's a lever that they could, I guess, at any point decide to tell people about it fundamentally breaks my brain because it's Rock Band. We were alive when it was the biggest video game in the whole world. And now it is like the D tier experience inside of this larger thing.
It's an afterthought in a different video game.
And from that perspective, does that suck? Yes. Like, do I think that the Harmonix team should be allowed to like ship their own video games on their own merit and not have to shove them into this thing that like very clearly is too big to support it? Yeah, because I can't do it right now, but if I were to like go look at Fortnite Festival, I'm sure it's no more than like 70,000 people, but also it's a fuck ton of people.
That's a lot of people.
70,000 people playing a video game at the same time. It's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
It just looks bad when the other number that it's next to is 325,000 people. Right? So
yeah.
It is I think it is like one of the most complex video games on the planet. Or like maybe actually ever. Like probably ever.
You could probably make a case for it being ever.
Because like working on the video game Fortnite could mean so many different things.
Right. Yeah, if I'm gonna go work on Fortnite, I could be like, you have to narrow it down.
Yeah,
I do not
like
know
doing
what like even on just the business side of things, it
Yeah.
could be a million different things. You know, so it's
It is an
it's
industry
nuts,
onto itself.
but I did watch you play it and was like, man,
Yeah, no, it's really good.
they made
It's
a good
really
one.
good.
They really made a good video game.
There were dinosaurs in this game 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like 5 years ago, they were like, it would be sick, I think, if you could upgrade the weapons by picking up bones and stuff off the ground from killing like pigs. Like, what if you shot a pig to death and then it dropped meat and it also dropped bones, and then you use those bones to upgrade the guns, and then you can also use the bones to get dinosaurs to be on your team. All that, and you know what? That stuff's gone.
That stuff's gone. We decided not to do that anymore. Bye.
What? It's too many, like too many good ideas.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for allowing me Fortnite minute.
No, please. I mean, I was excited to talk about it. The other game that has some Star Wars stuff in it is Destiny. I don't know what that is.
That's crazy. Okay, so I do. Do you want to know what it is?
Yeah, I want to know because I watched a thing and I was like,
it's just 60 seconds.
It's just 60 seconds, and it was like, and I was like, I don't actually think I understand what this is.
It's okay. It's literally, and I'm kind of shocked that this is the case. It's just a Destiny expansion.
Right.
It's all Star Wars. That's it. That's literally all it is.
That's it.
It's just you're going to get Star Wars armor and Star Wars gun and Star Wars lightsaber. And they're going to put in a couple, I think 1 or 2 dungeons that are just Star Wars. There will be a new zone to go around that is Star Wars. It's just in Destiny 2. That's it. Like it is not more complicated than that. Like there is another season, another expansion of Destiny 2. It just is Star Wars.
Okay.
And like, you know, Bungie, congratulations. That's a good check.
Congratulations.
It's a good check to get, gang.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of made some sense after the Marathon Alpha was wrapping up that they'd be like, by the way, we're doing the Star Wars thing. Like,
yeah.
Not that Marathon was bad, but I do feel like everyone played Marathon and was like, ooh, this needs time in the oven.
Yeah, oven. Yeah.
And the oven.
Hot stuff in the oven. Cold oven.
Hot of the off of heat.
Of the oven.
So are there Star Wars characters?
Unclear.
Because I didn't
see
anything.
There was a Star Wars collaboration prior to this, but it was very light. It was on the scale of like, you've got like some cosmetics that are Star Wars themed. I think you could make your ghost look like the Death Star. Like I think it was that, but there was no mechanical stuff. This is like mechanics. Like, I don't know.
Got it.
So that's exciting to me. I might get back into Destiny. I probably won't, but I might. This has gotten me closer than anything else has since the Taken King. Low bar. That was 30 years ago.
What if they put Destiny in Fortnite?
They did that already. And it
did that already.
It did nothing. It kind of did nothing for me.
They have done a lot of crossovers that just didn't work.
No, for sure. Now. And it's like, and that's the thing, right? Like
that's fun. It's fun to try.
Yeah, the slider or the not slider, but like the scale of collaboration in the video game Fortnite is so big,
right?
Because like you could Sony could have given Epic more money and they would have put more shit in the video game, but they only gave them 3 skins and a glider money. So they got 3 skins and a glider.
Yep.
And that's it. And I guess and they gave Disney, I guess, gave Bungie or however the money works, like that money was more. And I guess that they made the decision that it would be more advantageous, which I think maybe is a mistake, but to give more money to Sony to do this than I don't know. Who can say?
I don't know. I agree. I wonder. All right, we're going to ask another Hive question. This is kind of dipping a little bit back into what we were just talking about. Bone Chug Actual asking a business question. In the business, there have been and will always be people in groups going independent who use Patreon, but also exceptions to that. Broadly speaking, what's the process like to stand up one's own integrated payment system a la VGBs or Remap? The system to do that was researching different platforms, realizing that a lot of those platforms are also just versions of Patreon or owned by other companies that have in the past made some questionable content decisions that would close some people out of that loop that I don't think is fair. So I wanted to not go down that path. Since we built it with WordPress and wanted to be fairly independent, I basically just went with a system that is dedicated to working with WordPress alongside of it, something super integrated. It was not that easy to set up. I will be totally honest.
But at least every part of it works.
Does it?
No, I had 500 errors kind of frequently. Website.
Oh, that's a different problem.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good.
That's a different problem. I do know that is a plugin issue, but it has nothing to do with our payments platform.
Oh, okay. Well,
the payments platform actually seems to be working great. But there are things like I don't get notifications if someone upgraded, which I need to go in and change, but that's not default. So I had someone do that
that's
and
weird.
then needed a link to the premium feed. I had to go out in and do that manually.
Yeah, I think
the premium feed stuff is not integrated well. You Captivate won't let you basically hook that up automatically.
That's
so
confusing.
I had to go in and do that automatically.
No, that's confusing to me. I feel like it should
be automatic.
It should acknowledge the state change, and then just send you
it should
an
acknowledge
email.
states. I think it is probably worth me literally exchanging emails with Patrick Klepek or Rob Zagny about what they do to automate their own premium feed system, because ours is manual. If you sign up and you get an email 5 minutes later with that premium feed, it means I'm on my shit.
Yeah.
If it might be a day later for some people. So it's nice. It's very nice not being on Patreon because Patreon's back end really sucks.
Yeah, it does.
And it limits a lot of things that I would want to do. So I think in the end, I think it's a net positive, but it was not easy. Jeff Gersman and I talked about it really briefly last week before we started recording, and he was asking some specific questions about how it's set up and seemed intrigued by it, but also it kind of gave way to be like, yeah, I'm pretty lazy about this stuff. Patreon's really easy to set up, and it's
Patreon is very Apple coded.
Yes.
By which I mean, does it do the thing? Yeah. Does it look good doing the thing? Absolutely. The second you ask it to do anything that it is not, that they do not think that you should do, then it falls apart a bit. It's tough. Yeah, I remember when we were speccing out Turbo at Fanbyte.
Yes.
We were with all of the, which is to just say that Turbo was going to be the paid tier of fanbyte.com.
Yes.
That obviously happened, and John and I are both wealthy off of the back of it.
Gainfully employed. Mm-hmm.
But I remember being in a bunch of conversations at the time. We were considering using Memberful, which is again a Patreon brand. But even then, and that was what, 3-4 years ago? It was
probably almost exactly 3 years.
3 years ago. Most of this shit seems the same. Like it actually seems that like there has been like kind of no meaningful progress or streamlining or and again, right, like the out voice was like a huge, like it feels like it needs an out voice to come along about it, you know?
Yeah. Yep. To make it way simpler.
Yes.
Yep.
Because it does seem like unnecessarily complicated because it is being built off of the back of a bunch of shit that like, does it technically do the thing that we are using it for? Yes. Is it supported explicitly? Has it been designed from the ground up to do that thing?
No.
No. So but that's the computer, ain't it?
Yep.
Like that's just, that simply is just the computer.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's hard, but you know, I like the benefits enough that I think we'll probably stick with it for at least another year, and you know, reevaluate at the end of next year and see what we feel like. But yeah, I don't know. It's
maybe we'll just start taking checks by mail.
Yeah. Checks. That sounds good. Yeah, yeah. Just send checks to a PO box.
Yeah,
and then we'll just go get them. Yeah, that works. Thanks for that question. Hey, you mentioned Despelote earlier, a game that I have been playing a bit of.
Yeah, please tell me about it.
It's very cool. It is it's a joint that is not even credited to a studio, which I always think is fun.
Yeah.
The developers are Julian Cordero and Sebastian Valbuena. You play as Julian as a young boy, 8 years old. It is a semi-autobiographical first-person video game where you are essentially hanging out in Quito, Ecuador during the Ecuadorian national team's qualification for the 2002 FIFA World Cup.
Yeah.
So it's slice of lifey. You get to kick around a ball with your friends. I really like this game because it is in Spanish and I speak Spanish, so it's fun to have all these things translated but kind of understand what they're saying. I think it's really well voiced. I think the audio design is really special. The visuals are really strange. It seems like he took kind of these photorealistic environments of Quito and essentially mapped this really kind of grainy, monotone pixelation onto them. And so everything is kind of this weird red, or in a dream sequence, it's kind of this green, the saturated green. So all the environments are kind of this one note, but anything you can interact with is very bright black and white. So it's got this very interesting visual style. And yeah, if you kind of what Nikki was saying, if you want to like feel like a kid living in a place and a time that you probably didn't, it's a really, really, really cool way to get that.
Yeah, it is oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, please.
I played the demo at SGF.
Yeah,
last year. Is that true? That feels
feels potentially correct.
That feels right. But I just downloaded the full. I didn't realize I had code in my inbox this whole time. Nice. But lost my train of thought. Damn.
You played the demo.
I played it at SGF, and the thing that I thought was really cool about it was that, yeah, it is so emblematic of what you can do when you have a very specific idea on a very specific thing. Like, I am trying to show you this. Venba, I think, is another good example of one of these.
Great example.
Where it is like, I am trying to show you what it was like to be, what it was like for me to be alive. And I am going to tell you that story through this medium that I think is actually specifically suited for telling stories like this that are going to make you feel different than you would if you read a book or watched a video or watched a movie or a TV show about it, right?
Yep.
Because you are like you control the buttons that you press. Like, you are the one that is progressing this story. So I'm like deeply, deeply excited. It's also like 2.5 hours or something. It's like really short.
Yeah, it's really short.
That's awesome.
I think putting you in the shoes of a kid that kind of gets into trouble, like mischief, is really effective. There are two moments that stood out to me. One is that your mom basically tells you to sit at this park bench while she goes and runs some errands, and you're allowed to look at your watch while you're sitting there waiting. And then eventually the game is like, okay, get up, you're bored, go play, go do something. And you can no longer look at your watch. Which was fun because I was like, good. which was really fun because I was like, my adult brain was worried about what time it was.
Yeah.
But that kid wouldn't give a shit.
No, who cares?
That kid wouldn't give a shit. So I thought that was really, really fun and a great touch. I walked too close to a couple's picnic and I like knocked their stuff over. And I really genuinely didn't mean to like do that. I was just trying to like see if I could talk to them. And they got into an argument with each other and it like ruined their day. And I felt awful. Like she was like, I didn't want to come here in the first place. He was like, this was your fucking idea. Like, and it was like, I was like, oh my God. And I like literally backed away from the conversation. But eventually like you get to hang out with like your three little school buddies and you just pass a soccer ball between each other. Mm-hmm. And that feels really cool. It feels like real play in a way because they're kind of randomly deciding who to kick the ball to. You start to make these calculations of like, oh, well, this kid hasn't had the ball in a couple turns. I'm going to get him involved. Really just a deft hand, like in terms of, hey, well, I'm going to put you in the shoes of the kid and you're going to feel like a kid for real. And I think it's really beautiful. If you speak any Spanish at all, I think this is a really cool experience too. You just don't see this kind of thing very often come down the pipe where voice is fully one language. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, you do see it, but often with like Japanese or whatever, it's just fun to hear it in Spanish with the Spanish speaking story. So yeah, Despelote is out now. I'm playing it on Steam. It's good on Steam Deck, but it's also on PlayStation, Xbox, and Switch. So,
John, we talk about something.
Yeah, what?
I think I hate this Steam Deck.
Ooh, okay.
I think playing video games on that thing fucking sucks.
Tell me more.
I don't like the way it feels in my hands. I don't like it asks me too many questions of me. Like there are too many things where, like Skin Deep, for example. I have not played that much of that video game because someone told me it would be great on Steam Deck.
Great on Steam Deck.
And I said, okay, cool.
Okay.
And then I tried to play it on Steam Deck and it felt bad.
It felt bad.
Like, it just didn't feel good. It ran like shit. And I
don't think that's not a good example of a game for Steam Deck. I don't think.
But I think the thing is that the person who told me, I don't even remember who it was or where I read it, but the person who told me that it was good on there probably actually did get it to a place where it ran well. And it felt good. But I don't want to have to do that. That's not my job. The computer should just figure it out for me. Right. And again, I don't think the buttons feel good. I think the stick, like I ergonomically, I think I disagree with it. Like the stick placement is wrong. I don't need those fucking touch pads. The buttons, like every single one of the buttons on that thing feels bad.
There is a second version of the Steam Deck that should just be like, we know you're not using thumb pads.
Yeah. It's smaller. We're taking the shit out. We're offsetting the sticks.
It's smaller. We're offsetting the sticks. We're getting rid of the touch. Like I would be actually very interested in a version of the Steam Deck that basically says like, okay, we know we like valved the fuck out of this, which like
it does not need 4 buttons on the back.
It does not need 4 buttons on the back.
I would actually argue it doesn't need any buttons on the back. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're not pressing if you're pressing those, you're lying to yourself. I don't know what to I don't know what to tell you. It doesn't
because they're bad versions.
No, that's right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like
they're like if you like back paddles, that's cool.
No,
these are maybe the worst on the market.
These ones are worthless.
Like they're really bad.
Don't need to be on there. They don't. They're not satisfying to press. It is not clear to me when I have not pressed them. It requires me to hold it in a way that is not comfortable, where if I'm trying to use the sticks and press these buttons on the back, like that doesn't feel good. And like
getting into other handhelds, like especially from Anbernic or Retroid or whatever, that has been the clearest argument against a Steam Deck to me.
No, for sure. But that like, is,
but
that's like that someone had to do it first.
Yep. Oh yeah.
And we just haven't had a second Steam Deck yet. And I mean, at this rate, gang, I don't know, it's gonna be a minute. I would assume
it's gonna be a minute. It's gonna be a minute.
Which is like, that's nuts to think about.
That's
but
fine.
Like,
yep.
That someone had to go first. But I guess like my problems could be solved, I guess, if I got a Roger Ally.
Right.
Or something different, But like, I'm not.
Yeah.
Like, no, like I right now, like the, like, I just want to be able to play Fortnite.
I'm just laughing at Roger Ally.
But it's like right now, it's just like
sitting here with my Roger Ally.
I mean the Roger Ally. Like, I just think I'm gonna wait for the Switch 2. And I think that will be sufficient for the like my handheld gaming needs. I think will be able to be accomplished by the Switch 2. Yeah. And then if I can't play it on there, then I guess I'll play it somewhere else. But like I think I'm like deeply over my Steam Deck in a way that I'm not really gonna try to fuck with this thing anymore.
I think a few types of games feel pretty good on Steam Deck, but I have shifted all my emulation to desktop or a Retroid.
Mm-hmm.
And
do you have a 4 or a 5?
I have a 5.
Okay.
And I can't remember the last time I turned on my
That's
Steam
what I'm
Deck
saying.
And played it.
Like,
yeah, I can't. Is it plugged in on my nightstand? Yes.
But
I've gone to bed. I've gone to bed probably 200 days in a row and not reached for that thing when I get there.
And I just, it's like, I don't like, what's it for? And like the Switch 2 is going to come out and that fucker's going to be in the bed, in bed with me. Right. So it's, it is not to me an indictment of the concept of like extremely powerful handheld gaming. I just don't actually think I like that object.
It could be better. We have some notes.
Yeah, I played 60 hours or however the fuck much of Hades 2 on it. And like, did that justify the purchase? Actually, kind of, yes. I have not played anything for anywhere near as long.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sure if you looked at my like printout of my time spent on the Steam Deck, it's like however many hours of Hades 2 I have, which is again like 90% on the Steam Deck. And then it's like, I swear to God, it is like a maximum 1 hour of another game. And then any fraction of an hour for everything I've ever opened on that thing.
That's really funny. Yeah. No, I mean, I guess I did play a little bit when Virtua Fighter 5 Revo came out. So that was definitely only a couple months ago. But I didn't play a ton. I like came back to my PC and I was like, it feels better here.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's one of those things where like, if someone was like, do you recommend it today?
No.
I would ask a lot of questions. Like, what do you want to do with it? What kind of controller layout do you like? Some people I know, and some have talked about this in the Discord, like they prefer the parallel sticks. They prefer all that stuff.
And listen, people are allowed to be wrong.
People are allowed to be wrong. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't understand that. I don't like the offset makes so much sense. Or if they are parallel, they're really close to each other. Like PlayStation.
Yes, that is exactly it. On the Steam Deck, they are too far away and they're so far away of the fucking device.
Yep.
They don't. Why would you put them that high up?
I don't know.
Foolish.
I don't know. Foolish. I agree. I'm with you. All right, we got our third big Hive question I want to ask, and we can get to some fun stuff. Sawyer asks, I was one of many who circled the drain of Gamergate to right-wing politics pipeline in 2014. I escaped that political mindset a year or two later, but still grapple with the emotional repercussions of the habits that got me there in the first place. I think I've used games as a means to dissociate from my life. I think that dissociation made me vulnerable to fascist propaganda and has significantly affected my ability to emotionally process my personal life, past and present. I'm working now to address these behaviors in a healthy way. I want to share that my outlook on life is improving with these early steps. I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Sawyer. Yeah. Do you struggle with playing games in dissociative or addictive ways? And if so, how do you ground yourself to counteract that?
I think the last time I really like lost myself in a thing in a way that was like deeply unhealthy was like during the pandemic, where I was kind of playing Fortnite and Animal Crossing back to back to the point where they were deeply not fun. They were just like it was stimulus. Like it was the lights are flashing into my eyeballs. My hands are doing something. I'm not talking to the human being that lives in the house with me. Like I am not interacting with the creature that lives in the house with me. Like I'm sad and sitting in front of a monitor all day. And in retrospect, like after we got laid off at Fanbyte, I was like, well, I don't need this shit anymore. I really did kind of like didn't play anything for a minute. And I'm still like actually actively in the process of continuing to reteach myself how to play video games again.
Yeah.
How to engage with this space in a way that does not does not depress me as soon as I think about it too hard.
Yep.
Which is obviously increasingly difficult. For me, the ways that I ground myself in it is that like I really have to hold in my head that like I can just turn it off.
You can
like I really can just turn it off. Like the second and for a while we joke about it a lot, and I love to joke about it, but I think the thing that Road to Silver taught me, which was the series that we did at Fanbyte in the video game Valorant.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Was that and I say this as a joke a lot, but like I really do be controlling the buttons that I press. If I am not having fun, there is no reason for me to continue to bash my head against this thing that is not giving me actively the thing that I am trying to come to it for, which is like having a good time with my friends. Instead, it was like actively making me feel worse about myself and my friends. So I was like, oh, okay, the only way for me to stop doing that is to just stop doing that. Which was difficult and hard to do because it was like, especially at the time, like it was the thing that everybody was playing. It was the thing that my friends were playing, and the people that I wanted to be friends with were also playing it, right? So I was like, dude, I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really tough, but like the stuff will be there when you come back.
Yes.
Which is like so helpful. Like you don't need to you don't need to drop everything that you have going on right now to play Despelote this week. You know,
it'll be there.
It will be there in August. It will be there in December. It will be there next May. Right. You don't need to break, and you also don't need to break your own back to like know every single thing about every single bit of discourse, about every single like bit of conversation. Like it does not help you to live life that way. So
my example is actually like this is really interesting. So if you know me, if you've worked around me, if you've been in my house, at various points you might see multiple screens on playing games, usually simming either sports games or a wrestling game or whatever. There was about a period about 4 months ago where I walked into my office from the kitchen and I realized I had set 4 different screens to do a different simulation of something.
That's tough, dude.
And I got like actually pretty grossed out.
Yeah.
And realized that it's not necessarily endemic to video games that was grossing me out. It was the feeling of I am actively flipping these things on and trying to engage with them even at a low passive level because I'm avoiding something else. I'm avoiding something else. Like I'm avoiding engaging with something more closely. I'm avoiding dealing with the relationship issue. I'm avoiding dealing with The fact that I put too much on my plate and I won't let myself actually catch up to what I need to do. Like I'm avoiding things.
No, for sure.
So I don't do that anymore. If you walk into a room, if there's a TV on, it must be because I'm actively engaging with it.
Yeah.
And if not, I'm usually shutting that stuff down. Now, did that take kind of like a sense of self-loathing that I don't think you should have to get to like change these things?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. But I also, I echo what Nikki said, is that like all the shit that I was doing will be there when I want to engage with it. And also, crucially, and maybe this is not a helpful thing to say, but I do think it is true, you'll enjoy it more when you come back to it after you are like, after you decide I'm going to take a break from this, knowing that I'm going to put myself into, I'm going to go cook something, or I'm going to go hang out with some friends, or I'm going to go get a beer, or like whatever.
Yeah.
You can, probably beer is not a good thing to talk about if we're talking about addictive, but you know what I mean? Just like you can engage with your life in ways that are not video game related. And if you, Sawyer, or anyone else that kind of feels this like isolation or dissociation, are struggling to find things to do aside from losing yourself in games, talk about it with people. Like, what are y'all doing? Like, what's a cool thing? Like, are you reading any good books lately? Like, look up events near you to see if there's like a farmer's market, or like just get away from it and find other interests in your life. And like, just do that. I go see a movie once a week now. Like, that's a thing that I just do. And I've like said, I'm going to go do that once a week.
John's got Alamo A-list or whatever it's called.
I do. And it's fun. And it's like, I that has been part of me stepping away from games in a way that I now see as unhealthy. And now when I sit down and play a game, I'm like, I have a fucking blast because I'm dedicated to doing that. And then I'm going to step away from it for a bit.
Yeah.
So
the ways that these things can take away from the natural hum of our existence is phenomenal, right? Like it is a thing that is not very good for the way our brains work. So you do have to do active work to yank yourself out.
Yep.
John, can we do one more question and get the heck out of here?
Yes, we can. Let's do one more question. Let's do. I saw one that I wanted to definitely do, and I can't find it. Hold on.
Oh,
we're gonna keep stalling.
Keep stalling.
We're gonna keep stalling.
It is gonna work. While you're stalling, I'm going to check.
Hey, what's the ideal? This could not be worse. What's your ideal ratio of jelly to peanut butter or non-allergy triggering equivalent for a PB&J, and what is the ideal bread for said sandwich?
Great question. I think it's 60-40 jam to butter.
Wow.
And then I want it on white or potato bread.
Okay. I'm a 60-40 nut butter to jam ratio. And I like to toast it. I like to get it on a grill and butter it and grill it. I don't think I really care what bread it is. I grew up eating wheat bread for peanut butter and jelly, but I do like like a rusted white. I do like a rustic white for a PB&J.
Rustic white.
Rustic white. Yeah, so that's my answer.
That's great.
We had another couple of questions on the table. They were also good. I may do a bonus this weekend before I drive to South Carolina on Monday.
South Kakalaka.
And then I'll be doing all the week's content from South Carolina. You'll get to see Greep, everyone. Everyone will get to see Greep on the show, which is very exciting. Greep the Chihuahua.
Greepo.
Greepo. I feel like I'm missing something. What am I missing?
Did you tell people where they could find us?
I looked up reviews, and we don't have any new written reviews, but we do have a bunch. We do have a bunch of new ratings, though, so I appreciate that. If you want to leave us a review and actually talk about what you like about the show, I will read it on the air. So think about that. If you review it anywhere except for the U.S. Apple Store, you're gonna have to tell me about it because I ain't tracking down.
They're
all
not real to us. That's what we're saying.
The Pope's American now. You understand Pope's American right? now. Pope's fucking American now. So we don't have to go looking for anything that's not American. We just don't. But yeah, you can go find us twitch.tv/VGBs. That's where we do Wake Up Honey. It's Tuesday, every Tuesday morning. That might be going to Tuesday evenings now. But I'll tell you about that later.
We'll cross that bridge. Yeah.
Yep, we'll cross that bridge. Go to vgbs.com/join the hive. It's only $10 a month. But they're yearly discounts, which are really lovely. You can find me over at floppyadult.com. You can go find Nikki at nikkigrayson.com on Blue Sky. Also go to makeyouthink.club. That's Nikki's newsletter. It's free, but if you give Nikki some money, you'll get a bonus every single week that usually has something like, I don't know, a photo of a cat or like a cool house or like, I don't know. It's great. So you should definitely go do that. Anything else you want to plug, Nikki?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. This has been a good one, folks. Thanks for all your support. Thanks to all the new listeners we've got. I hope this was a fun one for you. And we'll be back next week with Jenna Stieber. And we will, that'll be a fun one. And until next time, keep on buzzing.